Hello, everybody. This is Kerwin and Brenda Jordan, Lifestyles of the Rich in Faith Church, Lifestyles Church YouTube channel. And we greet you. Happy New Year to everybody. We're in the year of 2021, and everything started off quite intense. A few nights ago, I had a dream. Actually, the Lord said, no, it wasn't a dream. It was a visitation where when I woke up, even Brenda heard me waking up pretty sort of violently, actually, because I was saying something in a loud voice back to the Lord. So for several days, I didn't really remember what happened until I got into prayer. And so the Lord wants me, I'm going to share this dream. Well, I got it titled The Dream I Had, but it was actually pretty much more intense than a dream. And I'm going to share this experience that I had during my sleep time when I woke up rather violently. And because the Lord is very angry, actually, very angry. He's been angry a long time. So I'm going to share this dream with you. Now, I was in heaven, actually. It looked like a countryside. And there were these very elite angels. They looked like men, but I knew that they were angels. And it seemed to me that I was somewhere in heaven, walking with the Lord and his elite angels. And we were discussing and talking about many things. Some things were so very powerful and bold. He was telling me some things that were about to take place here on the earth during the year 2021. And it was not good for many people. Then I heard the Lord take me around heaven's countryside. It was like a countryside. It looked like the earth, but it wasn't the earth because everything was much, much larger, beautiful, pretty powerful. Some things I saw, I can't even describe them. But the closest thing was kind of like the countryside, kind of like where I live up here in Castaic Lake. A lot of mountains, green, plush valleys. So I knew this, and I love and enjoy big and large open spaces, and God knows that's one of my things. I like a lot of big open spaces. So as we were walking around these grounds and up and around all the mountains, the Lord began to speak so powerful and mightiful, and I understood that most of the things being done here on earth in our world by religion, by organized corporations and governments, most worst things, and he said things are so awful and terrible, it makes him very angry. And more than anything else going on in the world. This experience was so intense, as I wrote this down, that as I was starting to come back, it felt like coming back to the earth back. I woke up with a type of shout, and it just absolutely made me feel horrible inside. And I think I woke up Brenda. Did I wake you up, honey? I think I did. So it's taken me several days since that time to get from the Lord what that was. Now, some of the things I'm going to begin to share, and everybody that gets this video, I want you to take heart. Now, most of you have religious and Christian backgrounds, so some of these things you've heard, but you're going to have to sort of take off the religious, Christian, spiritual mindset off of what you've heard before for what I'm going to be sharing. Because you have to see it out of a non-religious mindset in order to understand what's going on. Now, I'm going to give you scriptures because everything the Lord told me about is in his book. And he also told me to really work on converting certain words to more practical 21st century words, not religious words, not spiritual words, but the kind of language you guys talk when you're not in church or in a religious type setting. So in Matthew chapter 24, there's an incident where Jesus' apostles, disciples, Peter, James, and John, those were the three boldest ones of all the 12 actually. They came to Jesus and they showed Jesus the temple, the building, how beautiful it was. And if you look at the first few verses in Matthew chapter 24, what did Jesus say about the temple? He said that temple that was built by Solomon, actually, he said that there wasn't going to be one stone that was going to be thrown down and destroyed. So the Lord took me to that scripture, and I thought, well, why would the Lord say that? Well, he was angry with what was going on in the temple with the people that were in charge. So he took me to that scripture, and he reminded me of the churches in America particularly, but churches all over the world, because basically the church in the United States, everybody else, every other country pretty much patterns themselves behind the church and the leaders in America, okay? So as you read Matthew chapter 24, the Lord told me, look, all those signs, the disciples asked, when is the sign, Lord, of your coming and the end of the world? Now, I want to preface this right now. Jesus is not coming anytime soon, okay? We are in what is called the scriptures, and we've been in this a long time and will continue for many years and generations, he told me. When they say the last days of the end time age, that's an age. It's a characteristic of a certain generations. And they've been many since the time of Christ, and will be many more even after this generation that we're currently in. So I want you to understand, I'm not here to tell you that Jesus is coming soon, because he told me he's not coming soon. Okay, whatever you've been taught, I've been taught, he said was wrong. Okay, the scriptures, how would I say it? So a lot of the religious leaders have screwed that all up, and it's messed up a lot of people. And that's why God is actually upset. Now, that was the one thing. The second thing, as I was talking to the Lord about what's happening in our generation, he said, I am the one in charge, son. I'm in absolute control of the creation. And I thought, wow, well, Lord, you control everything. You're going to know the outcome of everything. Then why do we go through all this mess? There is a reason why, but I don't understand it completely. Neither do you or anybody else that tries. However, I'm going to give some things that he told me to give you who get this video. So the bad, evil stuff that's going to be happening throughout this year, 2021, like with the COVID-19 virus, and then all these other strands of the virus that are going to be developing, tragedies. What you can do, what you should be already doing if you've been following me, so you're insulated from the evil that we're surrounded of, because it is not going to get better for those particularly that don't know how to follow God, don't listen to him, and are pretty much stubborn. And it's been this way pretty much since Jesus left the earth, he told me. And he even took me over to Revelations, the book of Revelation, and took me through all those 7 churches. And he showed me that each one of those churches are characteristics of the generations that are current right now today. You can find the characteristics. If you study all 7 of those churches, Jesus was mad and angry with each one. And the 7 churches actually represent the 7 different continents on the face of the earth. It represents the whole earth. Okay, so he put it in a church entity context so we could grasp some type of human understanding of how God is. So anyway, the signs of the end of time, the sign of an end time age. And he said that the things that we see with COVID-19, the collapse of different governments, look what's happening here, democracy here in the United States, and all the other governments going on around. You got crazy people that God himself allowed to be in charge. That's what he said on purpose. And I said, well, gee, Lord, you got stupid, crazy folks that want to be in charge of the government. Why is that? And he says, well, I have my reasons, sons, but understand, whoever's in charge, as you've been following me a long time, Kerwin, that's what he said. And it doesn't affect you or your lovely wife, Brenda, in a negative impact. If anything, you're going to benefit by the stupidity and the reprobate mindset of these leaders in these nations. That's what he told me. And those who follow what I'm saying, as I get it from God, you will reap the same benefits as well. That's why this particular video is not going to everybody, because it's not intended for everybody. Like I said before, my particular assignment or call that God told me was not to everybody. It's just the opposite, just a very few people. I get a lot of views on YouTube. Matter of fact, the Lord told me to stop putting the video on YouTube and put it on another platform now, Vimeo. He told me to pull it. And I thought, well, Lord, there's a lot of people listening to YouTube over than this one over here. Doesn't matter. So it's going to be of the utmost importance as this year progresses on. He said that the main emphasis to learn, that you have to learn, and I can help you like I've been doing with these teachings and so forth. In my book, I tell you what you need to do practically so you can become so sharp and fine-tuned when God is speaking to you in like everything that you're involved in life. The quicker and better you learn how to hear God for yourself, the quicker and better everything involved in your life will improve. And you will not be negatively affected with the stupidity of government leaders, fraud, lying, stealing, cheating that's been going on a long time here in America and pretty much every nation on earth. We live in a corrupt world, but the Lord said it doesn't matter if it's corrupt. If you're following after me, you're going to live above the corruption, evil, everything. Now you're going to see it. I was talking to Brenda this morning and she talked about Psalm 91. My lovely wife, she has a poster upstairs in our bedroom where that whole psalm is listed there. And just recently, God started reminding me to look at that. I said, well, yeah, I see that. He said, so this Psalm 91 is in place more than ever, son. You see how when you watch television, and I do, or internet, you see how they publish the deaths associated with COVID-19 like never before, like in America, all over the world. You know, millions of people are dying from this virus and will continue to die, is what the Lord told me. Now, I'm going to sum up Matthew chapter 24. I want you to notice these signs. Now, because the question to Jesus was, what was the signs of your coming and the end of the age? And they thought that Jesus was coming back right away and set up this kingdom and take over Rome. Because during the time of Jesus on the earth, if you study the history of Rome, you'll find that the Roman Empire dominated most of the world during that time. They were the bare feet with iron that ruled human life all over. They were ruthless. And God allowed it. Yeah, he allowed it to be that way up to a point. And we have a similar thing going on today. He told me that the age, he said that this age that we're in 2021, this current age, he called it Babylon. You should study the history of Babylon age. Babylon. You can read this, a background of Babylon in Genesis chapter 11. And then the book of Daniel talks about Babylon, where God's allowed, he put a wicked, reprobate king over Judah, over Israel, everything on purpose. And the people were enslaved, except 3 Hebrew children. See, the few, and they stood out and prospered and were successful. You're going to see a similar thing during our generation here, during 2021. Watch. Some of you who have been behind financially, physically, health, so everything, you're going to see an inversion beginning this year take place. And the ones who have always appeared to be on top or ahead, you know, you see all the different government agencies, some of them collapsing, having all kinds of problems. There's an inversion taking place, and God is allowing it. He's the one in charge. Now, here's one of the signs in Matthew chapter 24. One of the big signs is called, the religious word or more common term is the word deception. But the popular word used today is fraud. You listen to the news, the media, you hear fraud. So I want you to be aware that a lot of things you see on the internet, come through your email, come on TV, is not true. And the only way you're going to know there's only really one sure way to know the difference from fraud and truth is when you know God's telling you what that difference is. That's the only way you're going to know it. You can't even go by your experience completely. That's how serious, how fine-tuned you have to become in following that gift that Jesus said we all have, called the Spirit of God, inside you now. Number two, he said, you hear wars and rumors of wars. Now, the term today we use is called media disinformation. Okay? We have the left and the right. They got two different messages. Which one do you believe? You could be believing in something that's not actually correct. How would you know the difference? The only true way to know the difference, Jesus told me, is you're going to have to know inside you. Many of you actually believe a lie. Why? Well, because it supports your race better. Like Black Lives Matter, for example. Yeah. So you're going to have to check yourself because, see, one of the distinct differences between what I'm saying is it don't matter what the popularity of a certain belief system or ideology, if the crowd believes, because it supports the black race or supports a certain group. What you're going to have to go by is what is God telling you, all right? He may be telling you that's of the devil. And many of you, actually, God will allow you to follow the devil. I'm going to show you in Revelations where Jesus even talks about some of the churches are actually churches of the devil. And he allows them to actually follow the devil. He said, I'll kill your children with death in Revelation. Well, I'll explain that with you. Now, it don't mean Jesus actually is killing babies physically. All right, he's talking about a spiritual analogy there. And I'll explain that what he's talking about. In some of my videos, I talk about the principle of ideas. We're talking about ideas. An idea is like a little baby. It starts off small, and through time, ages, it grows. My video on YouTube is called The Kingdom Principle of Ideology. You should go back and look at that. Because, see, ideas and mindsets, they don't disappear. Even if the physical person dies, their ideology will outlive them physically because people believe, they grab a hold of that idea as a way of living and to possess it for themselves from generation to generation to generation. So that's really what he's talking about there. The other thing in one of the signs in Matthew 24 is nation against nation. You remember that term? Today we use the word racism. Race. Race is huge today. If you disagree with Black Lives Matter or disagree with Antifa or disagree with any popular left type philosophy, you're considered a racist, or they censor you like Twitter. And the tech giants, if you're on their platforms, and you say anything against these type of popular belief systems that the masses follow, the herd mentality, they'll go to great lengths to cut your account off like they did to President Donald Trump. You know, they permanently disabled his Twitter account and so forth. Yeah, the President of the United States. So that's going to increase. The other thing we got here is government conflicts, which is kingdom against kingdom, Jesus said. And then he talked about famine, which is economic ruin. There's lots and lots of businesses that have been so impacted by COVID-19, they will never come back. The government can't even give them or loan them or grant them enough money to come back. And that's on purpose. And then it talks about pestilences everywhere. Well, look at the virus. That's a plague. It's a pestilence. And then earthquakes, shakings everywhere. So I could go on and on and on. There's a lot of stuff here, but I want to introduce that. Now, I'm going to give you, I got here, these are 5 things that I discovered, and God gave them to me in such a way that I can give them to you so you will understand them. That in Abraham's generation, he did these things, and God was able to favor him. I mean, he protected him, made him wealthy, made him rich, made him successful, made him healthy, made his wife have a baby when they said he'd never have one. There was 5 reasons why, in the midst of when everybody else was having hell. And I'm going to give them to you. Now, I got here, listen, there were 5 secrets to the wealth and riches of Abraham. Now, I've been studying Abraham for years. You know, I get into God's books, 66. Matter of fact, God's nickname is called 66. He told me that. You see how I said, God tells me a nickname he likes is called 66. And I said, well, I like that, Lord. You know, I turned 66 this year. You know, the Lord sung to me on my birthday when I turned 66. I woke up, it was like a party going on. And they were singing, they weren't singing happy birthday song, but they sung to me, the angels and Jesus and them. These guys are really awesome. Now, I don't see them, not physically. You don't need to see them. I don't want to see them physically. But when I'm asleep, I see them. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. If I get in prayer long enough, God will bring it back up to me, some of it, not everything. There's some things he takes me to, he shares with me, and I keep asking him about it, and he says, Kerwin, don't stop. I'm not releasing that to you yet right now because you wouldn't be able to handle it. It's too much. Even this stuff, even the things I'm sharing with you now, I've gotten stronger and bold enough to tell you the truth. But see, these 5 things, I'm going to give you this, that Abraham had, and I got them too, actually. And if you can get them, then God pays really good. It's almost like God pays you to do what he asks you to do. Now, I don't have to do what he asks me to do, but because I like him and love him so much, I'm going to do absolutely everything he wants me to do, even sharing these words. He said, son, I want you to tell them what I told you, and that's why I told you what I told you. I got some more bad stuff to say, actually. That's going to be even worse than this. So, but let me give you these to kind of soften you up a little bit. Some good news here. These are 5 things. Now, one of the things that Abraham learned to do, actually Abraham, Noah, Moses, all these really powerful, successful men of God, was number 1, they obeyed the voice of God. They obeyed the voice of God. Now, obeying the voice of God typically means you have to do something that's most likely not popular, like what I'm doing right now. You have to say something that most people are not willing to say. Okay, why? Well, because it might ruin the reputation. You might have people not like you. You might lose some money, business, whatever. Even your own family might hate your guts because you're telling them what? The truth. And that's what Jesus said. Jesus said that most of the people, when he came, was believing in a lie. In John's gospel, you read it. He said they were living a lie. They live lies, lives of lies. And that's why they have so much misery. I saw a young man the other day. Remember, I said that there would be people in churches, preachers, prophets, whatever they want to call themselves, dying, not just from sickness and disease, but just drop dead right in the pulpit. And they say that's the devil. That ain't the devil. That's God himself. That's called judgment. Judgment. So I want you to keep an eye on all your famous big time preachers and teachers all over the earth, hustling God's people for years, drop dead. That's what he told me. So you gotta just, when God is talking to you, stop ignoring it. You hear it. He tells me you hear it, but you just, I don't want to do that. And then you go do something else. And then eventually what happens? Something bad occurs. And God wants to help you. And then when something does bad occur, and you try to blame it on him, how come he didn't? You don't want to do that. Even if you don't understand what happened, never accuse God himself, no matter how bad your problem is. No matter if you don't understand. You don't need to understand. Just know that the earth is the Lord's. We don't control the world, the earth. He allows us to live. Even our own life, we don't determine when we're going to die. Okay, God got your breath. He gave it to you and he can take it at will. Your heart, everything. You don't control that. Man is stupid. He thinks he can control the weather and the seasons and time. You can't control that. God would not allow a man to do that. He can't even control his own life and breath that he breathes. Not really. He's dying and he can't stop it sometimes. People die of sickness and diseases, even with all the modern things of science and medicine and doctors, and people still die. So obey the voice of God. Number 2, Abraham did the charge of God. Number 3, he did the commandments. Number 4, he did the statutes. And number 5, he did the laws. Now, I'm gonna give you in the way we talk what those 5 things really are. Number 1, I said the voice, which means hearing and you understanding what he said. Okay? It's a personal, private thing. You have to hear it and understand what he said. And I've told many people the best way to develop yourself with that is you got to get away from people. You got to get isolated somewhere and stop making excuses you can't find somewhere. You find time to do everything else you do. You can find a quiet place somewhere and get alone and develop yourself so you hear from God. Because see, if you don't learn how to hear God's talking to you, trying to help you, you're not going to make it. You're going to die bad. Probably something tragic, sickness and disease, messed up. And many people every day do. Number 2, the charge. A charge is an assignment that comes with an anointing to do something that God has told you to do. All right? Like me, God has assigned me this particular task to do, anointed me, and charged me with it. Okay? In my businesses, it's the same thing. That's why some people can't do what I do the way I do it and be as successful as I am with it. It's a gift that I learned to develop in, obey God with it, and bam, he makes you prosper and succeed on it. Number 3, the commandments. Now, commandments are principles and purpose of a thing. So, a principle is the first and most important part of the thing. Who is the most important person of your existence, of your life on earth? You have to ask yourself that question. Is it your business? Is it your job? Is it your wife? Is it your husband? Is it your life? What is it? Come to grips with that. Number 4, the statutes. Now, he said statutes, when you read in the scripture there, have to do with integrity and character. Again, it's going back to focus inside. Another term we have is, and Brenda uses this a lot, she says, I'm looking for your intentions. That's exactly what God's looking for. That's exactly what God looks at, is your intentions. You cannot lie over with him. You can lie over with him, but it won't fly, okay? Not ultimately. Ultimately, it could destroy you, and he may allow you to be destroyed. And then the 5th thing is the laws. Laws are the fundamental and foundational things that help us not to violate the things in life. Not the things of men, but the things in life. They're a little higher than that. Now, as I close, here are 7 keys of paradise. Number 1, I'm going to give you in these 7 words. Perception. Perception is everything. How you see things, how you see yourself, how you see the world. You got to get his perception. Number 2, possibility. Jesus said, unto those that believe, all things are possible. See, God believes in the possibility of things far beyond what we do. But when you get with him, he'll help you to get up there with him. Number 3 is potentiality. You want to live and pursue God with unlimited potential. Don't hold yourself. Ask him to help you to excel, to go after him. Number 4, precision. When you have a laser beam focus, you'll achieve great things in this world, and God will bless your life beyond what you can believe or beyond what you can even receive. Precision, focus. It's not a matter of doing a lot of things to be successful in this world and life. It's finding the one thing that you're good at and asking God to help you, and he will as you become more precise. Number 5, power. That's strength. Without power and energy, you're lifeless. Power attracts good things to you. Sometimes Brenda and I go to places, we want to be alone or we want to, and within a couple of minutes or so, tons of people start coming. I started noticing that. That's because from within, we're broadcasting. We have power, we have strength. The life of God is beaming from us because we live and walk with God all the time. And he likes being with us like we like being him. That's his power. Remember, Jesus said, he is the kingdom, he is the power, and he is the glory. So you could say he is the government, he is the strength, he is wealth. That's glory. And then lastly is principle. Become a person of principle. When you become a person of principle, you will be a very prosperous and successful person. It is paramount. I wrote this one thing, and I'm going to stop here. It is paramount more than any one thing in knowing and understand on how to follow after the guidance and leading of the Spirit of God. In the age and generation that you live, son, in many of the apparatuses that are used to help to support and protect the people will not be complete safeguards against my judgment. This is God talking to me. Yes, I am over all things, and there's nothing and no one not under my hand. I design human life with beauty and brilliance, and it has always been my pleasure and my delight to see what I made being expressed according to original design in every area of the creation called life. I am most pleased with those who always constantly want to know from me more and more on how to be better with me, even after years of going through struggle and pain. They look to me, they stay steady on course, and as they continue to move forward, I will richly reward all those efforts and all their constant pursuits of a lifestyle rich and wealthy in faith. So, Father, thank you for giving me those words to share with all the people who received this video. And I only ask, Lord, that the words that you gave me, that you'll open them up emotionally and mentally to receive them so that they can live above all the evil of all the wrathfulness and judgment that is upon this world like never before in this year, 2021. In your beloved Son, Jesus, thank you. Okay, everybody, go back over this again, pray over it, and take it to heart. God bless you.